Hello everyone. Today we are going to see few topics in SQL. Topics like what is the difference between SQL and MySQL, and what is database, what is tables, and how to create those database and tables in MySQL. So we are going to cover few topics. We can see one by one. First is what is we can understand what is MySQL. MySQL is a software. We can call it as a database system that stores a huge number of records. So it stores the records in a table format, in a structured format. So in a simple term, what we can say, MySQL is a software that stores a huge number of records in a table format. Like that we can say, and it stores a huge number of data, right? Multiple data it can able to store it, but we need to understand the data, right? Simply we can't store all the information, that is for no use. So for that, what we need to know is a language. For example, there is a person called person A and B. So person A is having certain information, so person need to know few person B need to know few information from him, and he need to get the information from him, and or else he need to ask help from him. So for that, what he need to do is he need to communicate to him, right? Either he can communicate with his own language, local language, which both of them are understanding, or a common language. Yeah, we can say English is a common language, right? So he need to speak, B person should speak to an A person with a common language, English. Through English he need to communicate to get some help or get some information. So here in this case, person A is MySQL, and person B is SQL. So through this language, SQL is a language. Through this language, we need to communicate to MySQL and to get the information. So to get some insight, to analyze the data, for the business use, right? We need to analyze the data. So for that purpose, we need to learn this SQL language, so that we can communicate to the database system and we can get some information or business insights from it. So by using this SQL language, we can insert the data, update the data, delete the data, fetch the report. So it is basically like a language, like where we can do all these functions in it. So now we can see one real-time example where we are comparing the MySQL with a library. So here, if you can see library information here, and here we can see the MySQL information here. So we can see the library information here. Library, a place where books are stored. Multiple varieties of books will be stored in a library, right? So that is called a library. Books in the library contains the information. The each and every books will be having a different information, right? That is the information of it. And the section in library there, for example, fiction book, science book, history, technology, uh, uh, related to cooking books. So there will be different sections for each and every categories, right? That is called sections in library. Librarian, there will be a librarian where he will understand our request, and he will be helping us to find the books. That is the purpose of this librarian. And we will be asking few questions, right? Like uh, to the librarian, like show me all the books written by Chetan Bhagwat, and certain information we will be asking to the librarian, so that we will be getting some books regarding that. And results, like after getting the after receiving some information, librarian will be giving us the matching books. So this is about the library, okay, in the real life. So this one we are going to compare it with the MySQL database system. So here library, which is having a multiple books, right? Likewise in MySQL, it is a software which we have already seen. It is a software where multiple data will be stored here, irrelevant, like only certain information only will be stored. No, it's not like that. All the data which is which business is requesting for that data, we will be storing it in MySQL. Then here we have seen, right, the books in the library contains the information. So each and every row there will be some information which we are going to store it, right? Each and every row there will be some information, row and columns. And section of library. Each and every section, it is having some purpose to store the. For science, there will be a different section. History somewhere here. Likewise, for in MySQL, there will be a different tables, right? For customer, there will be a different table. Order, there will be a different table. Products, there will be a different table. Likewise, here there is a section. Here there is a different type of tables we are going to store it. In library, we'll be having a librarian. In MySQL, we'll be having a MySQL engine where it understands the SQL query and returns the result. We will be questioning them, right? Like what is where the data is. So based on that, the MySQL engine will return the result. So here to librarian, we'll be asking the question, right? Likewise, through the SQL language, we'll write a query. Through that, we'll be getting some information. Here, through the questions, we'll be getting a books. Here, we'll through the SQL query, we'll be getting some information from the MySQL data, which the table it's been stored in MySQL database system, right? From that, we'll be getting some answer by writing this SQL query. Here in the result, what we will be getting, librarian gives the matching book. Here will be in written. What we will get, query result, like MySQL will return the matching data. This is how we can see the matching between the like real-time example. We can compare the real-time example with the MySQL so that we can remember. So, okay, if we are remembering this library, we can remember the function of this MySQL database system. So, this is for the real-time example. So here if we can see, but if we learn this SQL language, we can able to communicate with a different database system, like not only to MySQL, Oracle, Postgres, SQL Server. With the multiple database system, we can able to communicate and get the information. So in the one line summary, what we can say, MySQL system that stores and manages the data. SQL is language to communicate with the database. This is how we can understand these two concepts. So we can understand what is this database. So database is a collection of different tables. So if we can see here, there is a course section, a course table, section table, student table. So this different table, it's been stored in a container. So that container, it is called as a database. So this is how we can understand this database. So to create a container in MySQL, we need to use this query, create database, and we can give whatever the name which suits for the table which we are going to store it, right? So to create database name, it can be our wish, and we can store for our understanding. We are giving underscore DB, so it shows us like okay, underscore DB means it is a database. And then a table means table is a database object which will store the information about the business. So as I said before, there will be a database container. In that there will be a different tables. So this tables, how it will be stored in a structured format, like uh, through row and column. Likewise, in a structured format, it will be stored in our database system. This is called table. So table, how it has been created in MySQL means like create table, give the table name. So here we are creating a customer table. So in customer table, we will be having a column called customer ID, right? Like if you can see here in the result, customer ID we required in a number. This column, it should be in number format. Customer name, it should be in a text format. City also, it should be in a text format, and country also, it should be in a text format, right? For that, what we are going to do is we need to create a outline of it. this inside information we can ignore as of now. So only the outline of this table we can create it now. So customer ID, and it should be in this is the data type integer. For numerical value we will be calling it as integer int. Customer name it stores a text value, right? For that we are going to save it as where char. So variable plus character name we can include it. This is the space where this much in this 100 means 100 characters we can able to enter it. And city, it is a where char. These all right int where char, float, double, all are data types we can see in one some other section. So in which format we are going to store that information we need to give. City also it should be in a where char, that it we are going to store. And country also we are going to store in a where char information. Then to feed the information manually, right, inside that. So we are going to give a command called insert into customer ID, customer name, city, country, like that we need to specify it. So for each and every column, so in which column we need to give the values. So that column we need to specify. And to insert the value, like customer ID, for customer ID, what are all the information which we need to give like 1 2 3. And then what will be the name of the customer ID we need to specify here within the bracket. And the city also we need to give like this. And the country also we need to give like this within the quotation. And we need to uh, close the bracket for each and every row. Whatever we needed, right, we need to do like this. So this is how we need to create a table, and we need to feed the information inside the table. So here the problem is each and every time we can't able to store the data manually, right, like this. So we can import the Excel file or CSV file into the database. So we can see one by one. Like first we can see how to create the database, this container. Inside that container only we need to create these 3 tables. And after creating the outskirt of that table, we need to feed the information whatever we required, right? So we can see one by one. Now we are going to create a database now. So I'm going to create the same. For that, first what you need to do is we need to uh, we need to install MySQL Workbench, whatever the version, latest version which we have now. I have installed 8.0. So you can install whatever the latest version we have. So we need to install it, and we can open that software now. Click on this connection. I'm giving the password. So here so if you can see here, after opening this MySQL, we can see a space. Here in this section only, we are going to write the MySQL queries, where we are going to communicate with the data. So here, if you see here, the database will be created and table will be stored. This is the schema section. And here, whatever the query which we are going to write here, that output result it will come, whether it has been successful or it has been failed. So we can see one by one. So now we need to create the database, right, the container. So we can just type create database, and whatever the name which we need to create for the database name which we can give, and we can execute it. And if you can see here now, this is the execution button. Once if it is executed, it will say like, okay, this has been executed. If you can see here now, green check tick mark, it's been executed. If you click on this refresh option, automatically whatever the database which we have created, that it will create. Well, it will not have any tables. Now we need to create the table name. So as per PPT. So as per PPT, we need to create this create table, customer table, and we need to feed all this information. But if you are creating all these, right, we need to insert each and every. For example, I'll just show it how it works. So what we need to do is we need to click on this Superstore DB. So that's so if it is getting highlighted, right? So inside that we can create a table like this, like customer table we can create it, or else it the SQL MySQL will think like, okay, nothing it's been used, where to create it, so it will throw an error. So to use the DB we need to double click so that it will think like, okay, this Superstore DB it's been used. There are multiple DB here, right? So to make MySQL to understand, I need to store this table which I'm going to create it in this space. It should get stored in Superstore DB. So for that purpose, I am double clicking here and I am executing this query. So once if I refresh it, automatically whatever the I said, the table, it will be created. But without the data, it will be created. If you right click on this table and click on this limit, right, at the outskirt of the table, it will be displayed without any data here. So if you go again to the PPT, and if you want to get all this information, 1, 2, 3, these information, copy this. So here we can say like, so here in this insert query, what we are saying is inside this structure, I need these three information. Like in customer ID, I need this customer name. I need this information. City, this information. Country, this information. So we are telling MySQL, right? Look, okay, please insert these records whichever I am giving here. So it will be a manual process. If you see here, it will be inserted. If you see here. Again, if you run the select query, it will show the records here, whatever we have inserted manually, right? That it will insert here. But each and every time we can't go on, in a real case, we will not be using this insert query. So in real case, what we will do is we will go to table, right click on that, select table data, import wizard. So click on that. So already if you have any data, Superstore data, which is relevant for it, and you need to import the data and store it in this under this DB, those table you can save it somewhere, and you can just browse the table. I have already stored here, and I'll click on open, click on next, and click on this create new table. So if you want to change the table name, you can change it, or else leave as it is. So click next. So these are the data types which I have already said, for int means it is an integer where we can store a numerical value. Double also will be, we can store either numerical value or the text value. So there will be a different data types here. We can have a separate session for it. So here we are, according to the column whichever we have, we can store it here like this. But if you see here, no, the in order date, the date is in a text format, and ship date also it is in a text format. But we need to transform this. We can see how we can do that later. So just we can click next, click next. Click next and click finish. And if you refresh the schema screen, right, automatically whatever we have imported the data, right, that information, it will be that table, it will be available here. If you right click on this table, uh, this table, it's been stored under superstore underscore db. So select this one. So if you see here, no, the data, whatever we have stored in a CSV format, it automatically it's been imported to the MySQL in a table format. So this is how we can import the data, create the database. We can create manually a table. And we have already seen what is MySQL and SQL. So this is the basic understanding of all these topics. Hope this session is useful to you all. Thank you.